Good evening, everybody. We are going to call the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to take a roll call.
Alderperson Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Keen.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
Ranke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
10 present.
We have a quorum. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Vitale.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to item D on our agendas, public hearings. We have one item this evening. I will ask the clerk to read it rather than me start to read it.
Resolution to adopt the schedule of proposed assessments for improvement of South 57th Street from West Burnham to West Mobile Street and West Madison Street from South 58th Street to South 60th Street by concrete reconstruction.
Thank you. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. This is the public hearing for Madison and 57th Streets. Here are the limits for Madison Street. We're just going from 58th Street to 60th. And here's some pictures from Madison. It was originally paved in 1926, so the concrete, which is still under there, is 96 years old. And then it was resurfaced with this asphalt that you see here in 1969, so that's 53 years old. We did do a seal coat on this in the 90s. I was the inspector, so I remember that. But this pavement has certainly, we've gotten our money's worth. It's completely cracked and not much life left in it. Here is the other street, 57th Street, from Burnham to Mobile. We're going to skip over Rogers because that's brand new concrete. Here are some pictures from that street, also paved in 1926, so 96 years old, and then resurfaced in 1977 with the asphalt that you see here, which is already 45 years old, so way past the life expectancies that you would expect. You know, you expect 50 years with the concrete and another 30 years maybe with the asphalt, but we're up to 96 years, so everyone got their money's worth. Here's what it will look like when it's done, a brand new concrete street with new concrete sidewalks, new concrete curb and gutter, and everything under the street will be new as well because it's all very old. The water main, we're going to put in all new water main. The existing water mains from 1910 to 1919, so 103 to 112 years old. We will be replacing the lead services up to the public portion, up to the sidewalk. We'll have to see if we can get a grant to do the part from the sidewalk to the basements, but for now we are going to get the lead out from under the road. We are putting a new storm sewer and then storm sewer laterals to each property. If you have a sump pump or need one, you would have that available. You don't have that at this point. And then new sanitary sewer. The existing sewer is from 1919, so that's 103 years old. Those are the actual plans from 1910 for the water main. The street lights and the new street lights and cable LED lights on 57th Street. Our DPW is going to put that in. And then we already have LED lights on Madison. They were installed in 2015, so we don't need to touch those at this point. This is the cost of the project, $760,000 for the pavement, $389,000 for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer $275,000, water main $500,000. So the total cost for both streets together is $1.9 million. This is how where the funding is coming from. Special assessments are $213,000, so that's 11%. That's the only amount that's coming from just the property owners. The general property tax is paying 29%. Then we're getting the water utility funds from the water utility, so that's 26%. The stormwater fund is paying 14%, and then the sanitary sewer fund is paying 20%. So a typical sample lot that's about 40 feet wide, the assessment rate is $64.39. That's for anyone in the city. Everyone pays the same. So you multiply those together, it comes to $2,575. If you have a driveway, we do add an additional $8 per square foot for that. If you're on an alley, then you don't have to pay that. The bill, this is important, the bills would not be mailed out until March of 2023. So Construction will go all summer. We won't actually bill you then until next year. And if you opt for the 10-year plan, your first payment would not come until December of 2023, so almost 2 years from now. We do, like I said, have payment plans. You can pay off a lump sum if you like, but there's a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. There is 4% interest. The reason is that we borrow the funds for this project, so we are paying municipal bondholders in interest rate to borrow the money. So we're merely passing that interest on to the property owners that choose that option. But assuming you had a $2,500 bill, your first year payment in December of 2023 would be $361 or $30 per month. And then your final payment in the year 2032 would be $268 or about $22 per month. Why do we special assess? We have been doing it for over 110 years. State law allows us to do this because the people who live there are getting a unique benefit that the rest of the community is not getting because this improvement is in front of their property. We used to collect up to 100% of the cost from the property owners. In this case, like I said, we're collecting 11%, $213,000 in total. The assessment rate, like I said, is $64.39 per foot for any residential property anywhere in the city from east to west. Doesn't matter how high the traffic volumes are or how high the actual bid prices are, you will pay $64.39. Everyone is treated equally and the same. This has been state law, like I said, for 110 years. It's been in over 100 court cases that I'm aware of, and the judges have always determined that this is a reasonable method for recouping the cost of these projects. So it has certainly stood the test of time over the years. Special assessments are also the only way that we can ensure that all the tax-exempt properties like schools, churches, charities, hospitals, county parks, utilities, and railroads pay their fair share too. No one is exempt from special assessments, and there are 430 properties in the city that do not pay any property tax, and they're shown here on this map. They're all the shaded properties. They actually encompass about 28% of the city. So if we didn't special assess, the other 72% of the population would have to pay for them. So this actually is a more fair way of dispersing the cost to everybody. Likewise, businesses, corporations, and manufacturers pay a higher rate because they actually have more traffic on the roads. Their rate is $80 to $96 per foot. And this map actually shows all the lots that have paid special assessments, mostly on the east end. Just in the past 10 years, it's almost every lot in the city. And if you go back far enough, obviously 100% of the lots in the city have paid assessments at least once, twice, 3, 4 times over the past 100 years. So here's the tentative schedule. If all goes well, we are planning to begin advertising for bids on about April 8th. We would open the bids on April 27th. We have to pick the low bidder by state law. We do not get to pick the contractor, so the bids will determine who gets the work. I believe We Energies might have some gas work they have to do in April, but then the Common Council would award the contract to whoever's the low bidder on May 3rd. After we get all the contracts signed, they could conceivably start work about May 23rd, and there is a large amount of work, so it probably will take through about September to get it all done because we're doing all the sewer and all the water main and all the services. It's a very long process. There will be a deadline. We haven't figured out when that will be yet, but there would be a liquidated damages. If they go past the deadline, there would be a penalty. So they would keep to the schedule. The best way to find out what the schedule is to sign up for the construction and progress reports. If you go to our website, I think it's about the 10th one down, sign up for construction and progress. We'll send you a weekly email with what's happening on all our projects, who to call, who the contractor is, so what the status is, and when things will be done. So it's a great way to keep up on what's happening. So at this point, I'll take any questions if there are some.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Daniels. Do any members of the Common Council have questions on public hearing number 1?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vitale.
Yeah, I believe those two streets, of course, being my district, I mean, it's about time, really. They're in bad conditions, really. 57th Street and Madison just as well. I mean, they've been like that for a couple of years, so I'm glad we're moving forward on that, Pete. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? If not, are there any members of the audience that have questions on this public hearing?
Go to the
You can
microphone.
come up to the microphone and then please give us your name and address for our record.
I live on 57th Street between Mobile and Rogers. And on this street, there's quite a few elderly people, 80 and over. Now, I was wondering how it's going to work out for if we have an emergency of some sort and an ambulance has to come in, how are they going to get in down our street?
Well, for the first couple of months, when they're doing the sewer work, there's really just going to be one hole that kind of moves day by day. So the ambulance would definitely be able to get in, no problem. And actually, they might let some of the residents in too, because it's just one hole, and the next day they move a few hundred feet, so it's not as disruptive as you're imagining. The last couple of months, when they have to take the pavement out, they will put gravel down. So the fire department's trucks are big and sturdy. They can get in because, I mean, there'll be lots of trucks on the gravel, and a fire truck could get in as well. Fire department has assured me they can get in. If they have to get in on foot, they will get in. But they can probably drive in, no problem.
And I have a double lot, so I have a side drive. So that means that my car is parked that way, you know, I'm in the drive. Now, how am I going to have my access to my car in that to be coming in and out?
Well, for the first couple of months, you'll be able to get into the driveway. It's just when they have to pour the concrete for a few weeks that you will probably have to park on a Mobile or Rogers. I mean, if you need, we can actually set up a disabled parking spot if that's necessary. But yes, for a few weeks while the concrete is curing, you can't drive on it, so you'll have to park on Mobile or Rogers during that time period. But it won't be the whole summer. For most of the summer, you'll be able to get into your driveway because they'll be working on sewer work, or they'll be working north of Rogers, or they'll be working south of you, but they won't, it's just when there's a hole right by your driveway, there might be a couple days during the sewer work when you can't get into your driveway, but for the most part, you'll be able to get in for the first half on more of the project. It's the last few weeks when they're pouring the concrete that it will be problematic.
And I have the double lot, like I said, and I got the assessment to the house, and it seems to me that I'm going to be paying double then.
It's based on the front foot. Yeah, it's based on the front foot.
Yeah,
big lot has a big bill, and a little lot has a little bill. That's how it works.
All right. Is that all I want to say? Okay. I
Can we-
guess that's all I want to say.
Can we get your name and address, please? Sorry. Can we get your name and address for our record?
Oh, my name is Janice, Janice, and the last name is Jelowiec. It's Jalowyiec. It's not an easy one. And the address is 2062 South 57th Street.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions on the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we will close our first and only public hearing this evening, and we will move on to item E, which is citizen participation. Council can receive information from members of the public during this 30-minute period. Each speaker must announce to the council their name and address, sign in at the podium, and please limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes. We can't take action or interact during citizen participation because most likely what you're bringing up is not on the agenda, and it would violate open meetings laws. So does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation? can approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Kaiser. I live at 8132 West Raymond Lane, West Allis, Wisconsin. I am a board member for the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District, and I'm here to speak about the upcoming referendum question on the April 5th ballot. A yes vote for the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District's referendum supports the future of West Allis. The school district has embarked on a year-long effort to openly identify and carefully address our successes and shortcomings. A committee of teachers, community members, parents, admin, board members, and additional stakeholders identified two clear necessities. We need to right-size the number of buildings in response to declining enrollment, aging facilities, and unused space. And our district is in exceptional financial shape with a balanced budget and excellent credit rating, which gives us access to low interest rate loans while maintaining a low mill rate. A new consolidated high school located at the current site of Nathan Hale High will bring modern spaces, innovations for curriculum, and support dynamic learning strategies far into the future. Teachers in the new building will have access to 21st century learning spaces that are designed for increased collaboration between students and staff. Commitments with local businesses and institutions, including MATC, will bring funding and equipment to career and technical education spaces and allow students to earn career experience or credits for future education programs. The new high school is a smart fiscal choice with estimated community savings of $2.5 to $3 million annually. These savings are based on long-lasting energy-efficient upgrades, reduction in maintenance and upkeep costs, and focused spending on a single high school. These savings are in addition to the cost for expanded transportation contracts for all students, including the addition of evening buses for sports and extracurriculars. This will all be done with the commitment that students will not face a ride longer than currently experienced. Our district is invested in this project and is sharing the cost by investing $10 million in the project, using ESSER funds, a portion of the 70th Street building sales, and Fund 46 monies. Money mismanagement that occurred years ago have been fully resolved, and proactive management solutions to prevent any future issues. The district's improved credit rating has allowed the district to refinance some debt at a lower interest rate and pay off debt early, saving interest, all while balancing the annual budget. With the mill rate dropping significantly over the past decade, our district is in an excellent position to carry a loan that would ensure a stabilized future tax forecast. We are in an ideal financial situation, but we cannot fix our district's needs without your help. We need the voters to support our district's current and future needs to ensure our communities and students are competitive for years to come. A vote yes is good for West Allis. We want the best minds to be here. We want businesses to be attracted to co-ops and working with our children for the best future possible for West Allis. And that includes children who are career ready and children who are college bound. In April 2020, over 90% of school districts who had a referendum question on the ballot were rewarded a supportive yes from their communities. The voters of West Allis can show support for our amazing students, educators, and staff by voting yes on April 5th, 2022. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I do have a flyer for everybody on the council.
Thanks. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Hi, you can just call me Mr. Buzzkill because I'm going to have the opposing viewpoint here. I live at District 3 in West Allis. My name is James Nickel. I don't think you're going to find a board member who has anything but glowing praise for this referendum. But it's interesting that you should really consider the questions that have been not answered. For example, I'll just focus on one of them. Most people know Joe Biden's the president. Most people also know that Joe Biden's policies have led to an incredible amount of inflation in the past 12 months. Gasoline's been up 45%, energy's 25%, food is up 8%, major appliances 13%, air tickets are 25%, used cars 40%. All that's real money. And I've asked the question about what is that inflation going to do with respect to this referendum, the school referendum. Nobody wants to talk about that. All they want to talk about are the nice, glitzy buildings. Well, I would also remind everybody that even if this referendum passes and the school district gets everything they want, brand new buildings, everything, what happens when COVID-26 rolls around and the school board, who's ever in charge there, decides to force everybody to stay home? Those buildings are going to be dinosaurs, not used at all. So it's not really a no-brainer to get this approved. And as far as the cost goes, keep in mind that if the taxes are increased, business taxes are increased, which means everybody who provides a service or a product are going to increase the cost to consumers. So that's another hidden cost that's not mentioned in this. One final thing I had, there was about a year ago, was it? Maybe 2 years ago, the district was caught with an $800,000 phishing scam where somebody sent a scammer $800,000 of tax money, which was eventually recovered, and insurance, I guess, covered the rest. But that negligence is going to drive up insurance costs too for the district. So I'm not really, I wouldn't go so far as to say they're on solid financial footing yet. That's all I have.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation? All right. We will close citizen participation, and we will move on to item F. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on the top of page 2 of your agendas. Excuse me. Moving to item G, the mayor's report. I just have 2 quick things this evening. One is last Friday, February 18th, we had a ribbon cutting for Macoco's, which is a new restaurant in our downtown in District 2. Alderman Weigel was there, Alderperson Reinke was there. They have air-fried foods and what's called a candy bar, which is kind of slushy cocktails topped with candy. They had s'mores themes, and they have really good chicken and pork. I can tell you that from experience. But check them out if you haven't yet. They are right next to Double B's, between the post office and Double B's on about 75th and Greenfield. And I just want to remind the public that there is an election coming up in April, and the West Allis Youth Commission is going to be doing a candidate forum for the 4 individuals that are seeking 3 seats on the West Allis West Milwaukee School Board. That is going to be on Tuesday evening, March 29th, here at City Hall. It will be live on YouTube and will be broadcast up until the day of the election. So I would encourage people to tune into that and get educated before you go vote in April. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. Moving on to item H, are there any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine?
Alderperson Reinke.
On the lighter side, I want to make mention that this Friday at 7:30, we will have a concert by the Suburban Concert Band and also their Swing Street Band. It will be held at Nathan Hale. So if you're kind of tired of watching the news on television, please consider coming to this concert. It's absolutely free. You can give a small contribution or a donation if you'd like to the group. They always can use money for their various music items, and it's a wonderful concert that they usually give. So again, it's Nathan Hale this Friday at 7:30. The Concert Band of West Allis. They're very accomplished musicians. They do a wonderful job, and I hope they have the support of all our citizens in West Allis. If you've never heard them, please consider going. It's only an hour long, and they have a variety of music. So I know that you'll all enjoy hearing them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other alderpersons' reports? All right.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of February 1st and February 17th Common Council meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any changes to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Item J, standing committee reports. Public Works Committee.
Mayor Devine,
Alderperson Grisham.
I move to adopt the substitute ordinance, item 4, with the appropriate amendments.
Okay.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I believe a motion to reconsider has to be made first before you can adopt that.
I think we have to vote on the sustaining of the veto first, right?
We have to vote on reconsideration of the veto if we want to override the veto.
Okay.
And we have an attorney.
Attorney Serwin.
Cale did kind of give some input on this one. That's the city attorney. He couldn't be here today. And so the appropriate timing of this motion for this amended or updated version of the ordinance would be right now. You'd still have the opportunity to, well, I guess there's a few different paths it could take. There's also a question beforehand whether or not this amendment would require reading fully or at least identifying what those differences are. The only obligation would be that the committee members all understand what the distinction or difference is going to be. If there isn't that understanding, it would be appropriate to read out, or I can identify what I've identified or I've spotted as the changes to those ordinances. And so I think this would kind of overtake that veto at this point, unless there wants to be discussion on that point first.
Mayor Devine, through past history, we have always, this council has always considered a motion to either sustain the mayor's veto or override the veto. So a motion right now, I believe, would be appropriate to either sustain the veto or reconsider the veto, and then a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended would be appropriate. But I think we first have to take action on overriding the mayor's veto before we can do anything else.
That was one of the three options that was presented to the alderpersons interested in publishing it, is that potential override. The other two options would be, one, to submit this alternative proposal. Option two would be to propose or to have it go to the, I think it's the
Public Works.
Public Works Committee for discussion. And so those are the three options that's presented. I agree with you that as one option is to take up the veto first, but the motion can be heard. I believe there was a motion on the table, so I'm not sure if there's a second, but that can be heard at this time. It's up to the committee or the council on how you want to proceed, but that's the three options that Cale presented.
Mr. Mayor.
So there is a motion, but no second in front of us right now. Now there is a second. Alderman Vitale on the motion.
Yeah, I do believe the best solution of the amendment is to go back to Public Works, really, because I think we have to kind of go over the resolution, really, based, have been amended, so to me it would be the proper channel to follow, really. I mean, to me we should discuss a little further. I mean, that's my opinion. To me that'd be the right thing to do. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor
you.
Devine?
Alderperson Grisham.
This substitution for this ordinance was an oversight on our part when we passed it initially. So rather than repealing what we did, you caught that oversight with the veto. This was advisement from Attorney Decker and represented by Attorney Serwin as the procedural process that we can take right now. Rebecca Grill did send a copy of that amended ordinance out to everyone. If I may just point out the fact that the only thing that is changed was the error that was made. The minor snow emergency should not include major thoroughfares. So that is truly the only change in amendment to it, because it wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. That was an oversight and my error personally that I'll take responsibility for. So if Alderman Vitale would like to take it back to Public Works, that is the only substitution. And
So your motion was to approve it as amended, correct?
correct.
Okay. So then that would be in front of us. Is there any other discussion on that motion? Okay, then I will ask for a roll call.
Alderperson Vitale.
No,
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham. Aye. Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you. And then we will move on to License and Health Committee. We want to read that out after with the balance, Alderman Vitale? Sorry. Go ahead.
If I could just update the council on this, all inspections haven't been completed at this time, so the recommendation is just to leave this being held between committee and council at this time.
So no action?
Correct.
Got it. Then we will go on to item K.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
if there's no objection from any member of the council, I would move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries. Then we'll move on to item L.
Mayor Devine, I move that
Alderman.
we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in recess.
All right.